let's start. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome to HealthFormers Age of the Plan podcast. Today we have here our special guest, Karlina Elskeling. Woohoo!
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here, Lucy. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here today, and I'm so excited to start chatting to you. So before we get started, I need to give you a proper introduction, of course. So what tone of voice would you like me to introduce you in?
How about Taiwanese?
Taiwanese. A Taiwanese English?
Taiwanese English, yeah, that would probably be better in terms of...
Okay. As you can tell, I don't have that Taiwanese English accent, but I think I can pull off one that is Taiwanese Asian English accent pretty easily.
You've got the upper hand, actually, because I couldn't argue whether it actually is an authentic one or not. You know that.
Okay. All right. Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay. Her name is Karlina Elskeling, and she is just working to co-create a better space in which to live. She teaches meditation and reconnection programs, which she can send you a link for. And these are found on YouTube and Instagram. Karlina also runs workshops and seminars around Australia, encouraging more love and healing on the planet for animals, earth, and people. She is a love activist, humbled and inspired by kindness of all things living, including no dairy, no eggs, no animal flesh, just love.
Yeah.
Let's welcome Karlina Elskeling. Woohoo!
Thank you, and welcome back to you.
How was that?
That was beautiful, Lucy. Well done. I think that was a perfect Taiwanese English accent. I haven't got anything to compare it to, but I reckon that one passed as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I had fun doing that. I had to try not to laugh. All right. So you ready for our questions?
I am indeed, madam.
All right. Let's see what the flywheel wants to ask you today. Okay. The first one is, what is your cheat meal to treat yourself?
Okay, my cheat meal is, I've got two. Am I allowed to say both of them?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so one of them is a bit decadent for me, I think. I get like half a baggie of frozen cherries, 250 grams of frozen cherries, and I have some coconut. I get a pure coconut and I crack it open and I use the water in there, and then I blend it together, and believe it or not, that is the most kick-butt drink that you could get. It's really, really nice. It's super decadent, super nice, super simple, beautiful. And the other one I'll get is my favorite. I mean, when you're saying cheat meal, you mean like favorite meal or?
Yeah, just like, yeah, you'd love to go to, yeah.
So I'll get this black rice wraps that you can get from the gluten-free section. I'm not gluten intolerant, but it's nice. And then you bake them in the oven till they're nice and crispy. And you get vegan cheese. The one with jalapenos is really nice. And you can make up a homemade tomato sauce if you want, and you can get some spinach leaves, young baby spinach leaves, and then you put that on top of, you put your sauce on top, and you put your spinach leaves on top, and then you put the vegan cheese on top, and then you grill it, and it's just beautiful. But you tear up the pieces of the black rice wraps first.
Mm-hmm. So that's like a pizza thing.
It's like nachos.
Nachos. Oh.
It's like so good. And if you want, you could add some capers in there as well. Yeah.
Wow, those are really cool cheat meals. And the first one is just like tomato coconut juice, but it's a smoothie because it's frozen.
Cherry and coconut juice.
Cherry.
I don't know about tomato.
Okay, sorry. Somehow I had tomatoes pictured.
It could be good. Hey, it could be good. Can't really knock it. Maybe you can make that.
So the cherries, you have to remove the seed first, so.
No, if you get the frozen cherries, they're already de-picked, but it's so good. Like if you really want something sweet, and it's just good. Good. You can add other things like maca, a little bit of spinach leaves and whatnot, but it's yummy. It makes me feel like it now.
Cherry and coconut water. Okay, that's for you sweet tooths out there like me. Try it. I'm going to try it.
It's good.
Wow. And while we're on this, do you want to share a bit more about what's your current diet like to let you to have cheat meals like this? Yeah.
Okay. Well, normally when I start off in the morning, I get all the different fruits. Usually I try and make them fruits of the season. So at the moment I'm actually not sure what they're called, but they're like grapefruit. They taste a bit like grapefruit. They look a bit like grapefruit. Carambola, they might be called. And I've been chopping them up and then putting in oranges as well. And I have them together with a little bit of spinach, or otherwise I'll get bananas, which I have just about daily. Always have something with bananas, and I'm a real pig with it. I have like 4 or 5 bananas, and I'll chuck it in there, and I'll put some spinach leaves in there. I might put some kale in there. I'll put some coconut straight out of the coconut. I'll put that in there. I'll put some maca in there because that's fantastic for hormones, for women's hormones. Spinach because you need your greens in everything. Coconut water because it's packed full of minerals. You got potassium, magnesium in your bananas. So I just have a real good kickstarter to the day, and I'll just drink the whole lot. I just love it. I don't feel like I have to hold back on anything. Might even chuck an avocado in there, and that's my morning. Then usually during the course of the day, I'll nibble on things like pistachios or cashews, or I'll crack open an avocado and have that with some tomatoes. Yeah.
Wow.
Wasabi in it, something like that. Squeeze a little bit of lemon on it. Yummy.
Wow. And just to clarify, you're on a vegan diet, is it?
I am indeed. Yeah. So I have about 80% raw vegan, and then the rest may be processed.
Raw vegan. Do you want to tell me a bit more about that? What do you mean by that?
Okay, so by raw vegan, I mean your fresh fruit and vegetables, but I have them a little bit more creative than your standard green salads and what you get in your restaurant.
Oh, okay,
so I just experiment with a lot. That's the best way to do it, you know. Or if one isn't aware, then to follow some foodie programs, you know, where they do a little bit of creative cooking with all these sort of things. But instead of cooking them, I'll just have them raw. So I'll slice up your different fruits together and make a yummy fruit salad out of it, but I'll add some greens in there as well. So you don't really notice if you put like spinach leaves in there, or if you put in lettuce or in the middle of a fruit salad. You can get really creative. And then if you want some extra things, just get your super greens or your maca or your chia seeds or anything like that and put them in. Sesame seeds, get some herbs, get some mint. Mint is really good for a lot of things. Your parsley, it's a blood purifier, all these different things that you can add in. And a lot of times their taste is not so pronounced because you've got this whole beautiful charismatic flavors of all the other fruits, vegetables. So, yeah.
Wow. And why do you do that? Why do you do this 80% raw vegan thing?
One of the reasons is because you actually get a lot of, when you look at fruit and vegetables, they've got a really high water content. And when you look at our bodies, we emulate that. So our body's content is predominantly water. And ironically, so is our brain. So we've actually got like 70%, over 70% brain volume is water. So our body clearly survives on that. So when you look at that versus meat, for example, animals, then you see the water content is so high. And sometimes when you can cook, you lose some of that value. Some of those things haven't even been isolated by scientists as showing their full value yet because they're so minuscule in terms of properties to us. But because when raw, you actually they impart more than just a certain flavor. They impart more properties to us that we don't disturb. I'll give you a prime example. If we have tomatoes in its pure form, in its raw form, we get all this vitamin C from it. When we cook it up, it starts it releases other things to do with oxalic acid once you mix it together with greens, and it can actually be to our detriment. So the reason I have raw food is because I get more out of it. I get more water out of a lot of those things, and I also get more vitamin, minerals out of them as well. So yeah, that was my long
How does it make your body feel? Like if
totally
I'm doing plant-based, but I'm doing only 50% raw, 50% non-raw.
Well done.
But what's the difference to taking it to the 80% like?
Okay, well, I could give you something akin to an example of, let's say, for example, that I was a vegan under that name, but I went out and I bought processed food, right? So by processed,
so vegan junk food.
Yeah, or you know, packaged food. The reason why is because you have, in that processing, you usually have additives, whether it's for the preservation of the shelf life or whether it's because there's fillers in there. So there might be some flours and things like that, like everything, you know. And then I take that home and I eat that. And the problem with that is that your body has to work twice as hard. So if you think of your liver and your kidneys like a sponge, and say, for example, I pour oil through that sponge, it kind of clogs up those pores, yeah? So it doesn't, everything else you put through that sponge doesn't come through as readily. Even if I put it through a blender and I put some flours in there, it just turns into one big gluggy mess, right? But if I put in raw foods and water, if I put that in a blender and I put it through, you still have some residue, but the residue is not, doesn't have that content anymore. It's not oily or gluggy, or it doesn't all stay together, right? So it's a horrible example, but it's a good one too. Because if you think of your body like that, I prefer to help my body to digest things, to be able to process it, so I get the full capacity out of everything that I consume. So it's really life-giving. It's literally life-giving. And I feel that, and that's reflected in the way I live. So a lot of times when some other people might run out of energy, I'll still be going and go, well, what's next? What can we do? I'll be like, just sit down, relax. It's because you get all this energy from it. Life gives life.
Yeah, that's so true.
So, and you feel it through all your body in every single sense of the word.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And I can definitely see the energy coming from inside out of you. I can see that glow of energy coming out of you. Yeah. It's not something you can put makeup on to get. It's not something makeup can give you.
No.
Yeah.
Well, not today.
No. And can you share with me a bit more about, like, what was your life like before this then? Before you went vegan and you went 80% raw, what was it like?
Thank you for asking, Lucy. When I was born with congenital heart disease. Okay. And from a very, very young age, I always wanted to be a dancer. So the problem was that because I had this heart disease, it meant that my extremities, as in my hands and my feet, didn't get the full capacity of blood flow. Excuse me. So because of that, it meant that I would literally, as embarrassing as it is, but as a child, you can imagine, I would literally like flop over my feet because I didn't always have that thing going on. The other issues that I had was that I would get tonsillitis a lot. I was really ill with it. So I would constantly get a sore throat. I would constantly have inflammation around there. And the other side was that I was always anemic. My brother, all three of us were actually born with heart disease. My brother, different ones, but my brother was so anemic that he would fall unconscious all the time. I wasn't as bad as that, but I would certainly struggle to do with concentration. Now, later on in years, I mean, when I was 6, I had a heart operation to correct that heart issue. But I've also had times where it has come back to being a problem, where I've been hospitalized for several periods of chunks out of my life. And where they've suggested to me I needed to be on medication probably for the rest of my life based on this. I also had pneumonia several times. I had laryngitis, tonsillitis, lots and lots of times. I was constantly ill. Later on in years, they found out that it was from a condition known as cold urticaria, which is a very rare condition, but nonetheless, it's a condition that warrants a little bit of attention. What that means is that I'm allergic to the cold. And for those of you that may not believe, please look it up. So it meant that if my immunity was down, even me like having, picking up a cold can, I would get these red streaks that would start emanating, they'd weld, my lungs could close up, I would get anaphylactic attacks. Okay, so I had to carry an EpiPen according to the doctors, and I had to have anti-allergens every day. I wasn't allowed to go into the sea. I wasn't even allowed to jump into swimming pools. I was to avoid all cold places, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on with it. The third part was to do with being anemic. I was always iron deficient. Now, all of these things we hear about, or not all of these things, let's say to do with iron, on the news, on adverts, we always hear about if you are iron deficient, one should take meat. My daughter is iron deficient too, okay? So those are always things that we were told, just as calcium was good for the bones, all those things. What they don't tell you is that you can get iron from many other different sources. And what they don't tell you is that oxygen that comes from the iron can also, that depletion comes from many reasons. It's not just necessarily something that is inherited, and it's not necessarily something that is not fixable, and you don't always need to take tablets for it. Since becoming vegan, I have never, ever, ever struggled with anemia since. I've never been iron deficient since.
How's that possible? Because we're all taught that get iron from beef, especially.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because there are other sources that we can get it from. So when we start looking at life differently and we start questioning things from our own intake instead of just consuming in our mind what we're actually being called to take on and to take in, then we start, when we question it and we start doing our own research about it, then we start realizing that not everything that we are being told is necessarily correct. And that was one of the biggest eye-openers. Now, when I was 21, I actually went through a stage of what they call anorexia. And so I went down to 37 kilos. And I was on death's door. And when I went, my mother quickly took me to the doctor because she knew she was going to lose me. And I was very weak, as you can imagine. And the doctor said to me, "She'll be fine. Look, darling, all you have to do is go to the supermarket, get a big tub of ice cream, get all this junk food, go have and eat that, and then you'll find that you're back in an even keel." Now, that was a lack of information he had, okay, and I know that there's many centres that process this differently. However, just on that one alone, it was enough to stick in my head that I had to do some, if I really wanted to save myself, I was going to have to do research. So I became a naturopath. I started on this journey to become a naturopath, to try and raise awareness of what was going on, how we could help other people stop that. And along that way, through studying it, Lucy, I became aware of what was going on with animals, and that changed my whole life. So that was another long-winded way of answering your question.
Wow.
But
so it's because, yeah.
To do with your heart, to do with the cold urticaria, that was another thing. So the cold urticaria, I have no problem swimming in the sea or swimming in the ocean, or swimming in a swimming pool or living in a cold climate. I've just spent almost a year down in Melbourne, and some of that has been through the winter time. So, and my next step is to go over and to climb a mountain in Tibet in the middle of winter. So I'm going to face that. But I think it has to be a mind view, a heart view, and a body view. And when you look after all three holistically, then I think you're in a better position to be able to do it. And going vegan has been the one pivotal point for me to actually go in that direction.
Because doing that, like, you started off because of the awareness of what's going on out there in the animal, what they do to the animals. But then you started to, as you went vegan, because we all know that vegan plant-based is actually more aligned to your body's need. It will give you more nutrients. So your body started to feel better. Your iron deficiency was like went away and all that thing.
My iron deficiency went, but also to do with the cold urticaria, what I did notice is that when you've got all these fillers in processed food, like in predominantly mainstream food, then the concern with that is that you actually you're overworking your body to process it, so it can't get on with its job of just taking care of its own. So all these things that were inherent in my body that I was genetically predisposed to, and also because of my lifestyle, was stopping me from being able to live to its full potential, right? So by changing those things and by going to vegan lifestyle, it made me far more conscientious about what I was actually bringing into my body and the way that I was living. So I started becoming far more conscious about not just myself, but about the world at large. That's where it all began for myself, anyway.
Wow. Wow.
So in
And
terms of health, I would highly recommend that other people looked into it.
where would they start though? Like, where should they start?
It depends. So, okay. So, for example, someone that is wanting, whether you wanted to lose weight, whether you wanted to address cardiovascular, whether you wanted to address diabetes, whether you wanted to address something to do with cancer, any of those things all should have a part to play in diet. Our diet is absolutely paramount because what we put in is what we will get out. It's not just a cliche. And if you look around the world and you know, like at the moment, one of the things that is around is keto diets, where people eat a large amount of protein. And I know I get shot down for this. That's okay. That's fine. But the problem is that it overages your body. Your body goes in, it really works hard to break down that protein. And so it actually ages it prematurely. And the concern is that in the long term, that you're actually causing more problems, more harm to your body than what it's worth. So it should never just be about dieting. It should never, ever just be about you know, going out there and doing it out the gym. Find a way to do that by all means, but do it through a way where you're actually nurturing your body so that in the long term, it's still available to you to live that life and you can live it healthfully, holistically. You can actually get the best out of your body. That's, yeah.
Yeah. I really like that point because it's looking at it holistically. And when you do that, it's more thinking about in the long term. Because I think in today's world, we get so caught up in, we want that instant gratification, right? And because we want that instant gratification, we want that instant reward. So I want to get skinny ASAP.
Yeah.
I want to look good ASAP. I want to do this ASAP. And when you do that, you go into extreme forms of dieting, which is not sustainable and it's not good for your body in the long term. You end up harming it in the long term.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
You know that when I've periodically also been I went from 37 kilos and you never ever get overweight again. They lied. I went what I considered to be huge. And when I turned vegan, I lost 60 kilos. Okay. So that was just
60.
Yeah. So it wasn't like I was going out there jogging around the block or anything like that. I wasn't. Okay. I lost it from going vegan, from annihilating all that stuff in my diet that was just crap. My body could do nothing with. It was just a dead weight that I was hanging around with. Like there was nothing, what could my body do with it? It didn't know how to process it. It wasn't even something that was part of my body's constitution. So when you look at it like that, in terms of diet, that's a reason to go vegan. I did that mainly through smoothies. That was a main part of my diet, was putting that water in. So everything I lost wasn't just water loss. It was just stuff that my body didn't need, and it helped to do that. And in terms of iron, I got my iron. I started looking very carefully at what I had. So, I mean, for me, it was a passion to go out and become a nutritionist, but it might not be that for somebody else. There is readily available information there for us to tap into. So all those things are just all the reasons why we can look into living better, stronger, healthier lives.
Wow.
Why wouldn't we?
Exactly. Why not? Because we all deserve more. Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Wow. I love that conversation. Are you ready for our next flywheel question?
Yes.
Okay. What is your favorite dish?
I would say that one that I mentioned to you before, my little cheap one.
Yeah.
The nachos one.
Okay. Is there any other ones you want to share? That's your favorite go-to?
One of my kickback green smoothies, I really do love them, but I use a dehydrator and I can make these flaxseed biscuits that are really yum, and then I just make like my avocado, my guacamole dip or my pesto dips with them. I'm a real snacky person.
I feel like we should explore some cooking recipes together with all the cooking classes I'm going to do soon.
Whole ritual, Lucy. I have like the whole ritual if I'm doing something.
Wow.
I make it like a whole thing, so it's not just like quickly eat that and then quickly run out the door. It's actually, let's actually be present and enjoy this. This is beautiful. This is nice. It deserves to have some attention.
Okay, let's explore that. I'm really curious now. Let's explore it after the podcast. And then we can share it with the world. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds
Okay.
good.
All right. Next question. Oh, we already covered this one. It's asking what's your food life like before. Did you want to go into deeper? What was
I'll
your
do
food
a
like?
quick thing of that.
Yeah.
I'll do a quick synopsis. So
Mm.
I'm Danish, and I grew up in a very much Viking-orientated house because of being Danish. So our background was predominantly meat. And when I was a little girl, my craving for food, like every kid has certain things that they really love, mine was raw meat.
Raw meat.
Yep. My mother had a mincer, and she would mince through the mince, and I would grab it when my mother wasn't looking. I would quickly take it, shove it down.
Like raw beef or raw pork or raw, whatever raw.
I loved the taste of it. Yeah. I was a bloodthirsty person. So I wouldn't even say I was really an omnivore. I was more a carnivore than anything for years. Seriously was.
Wow.
And you think for the amount of meat that I digested, for the amount of animals, rotting flesh that I had, so yeah, I don't feel very comfortable with that now. But yeah, you'd think that all those things, adages about iron, you'd think I would have really counteracted that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you should have got a lot of iron by doing that.
Yep, that's right.
Wow. So, and then you stopped that one when you hit the all the problems once you turned into it, so you could feel that your body was just different.
Yeah, I think, well, I pretty much had a lot of those issues anyway, but I think for a lot of people it tends to get, doesn't it, when you get to the point that you think, like when you hear of people that have heart disease, they really have to get like on death's door. There has to be something really alarming that happens before they stop and notice how they're living. You know, it's not necessarily something that's just happened over the last year because they've been eating too many McDonald's, or whatever, you know. It's because it's been progressively over a long time. Their body has just become like a full bucket and they can't cope anymore. Just there's no room for any more disease to be put in our bodies.
And because it was a progressive thing where you had it for years and then you switched it to the vegan diet, did you go through phases where you had the craving hits of what you wanted meat again?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, it wasn't so much meat. You'll find that most people, or I'm sure you're aware of this, for a lot of us, when we go through that transition, the biggest thing that we crave is cheese. I'm not even sure it's necessarily, out of most of the people I've spoken to, it hasn't actually necessarily been so much milk. They're okay with trying to do that transition. They might struggle with sometimes with taste, finding the right milk, but it'll be yogurt or it'll be cheese or both. And the reason is because there's something that is so addictive in it called casein. It's really addictive. It's one of the most addictive things on the planet. And that's how they pull us in marketing to get us to have more of that.
What's that casein thing you're talking about? Can you tell a bit more?
Casein is in anything that is in dairy. It's a component of it. So when we get rid of that, the way to do it, the easiest way to do it, the most immediate and easiest way to do it is one of two things. One is make sure that nuts are part of your diet, so that you're getting magnesium, so that you're alleviating some of your irritability or some of your, it's packed full of vitamin B, it's packed full of everything you need for your mind, for your brain to function really well. And so it keeps you nice and calm. And the other thing is that it gives you your calcium, right? So you can get that as well from, what was the other thing I was going to say? If you go and you get, that's a good time to go out and do the transition from cheese to vegan cheese. Go out and explore them. Like, I'm not going to give you any brands because I think that you probably wouldn't be allowed to put them on, but there are some really good brands out there. Don't be afraid to experiment either. Like, go out, get the brands, spend that $10 on it. Yes, it is worth it, because you'll start to learn to appreciate the taste of cheese in a very different way. And you'll appreciate that one more. Like, if you go and you buy a 50-cent item that's junk, or you buy a $10 item that's junk, you're probably going to appreciate the $10 one more. We'll take smaller slices for a start.
And because you don't feel sick after having it, like when you eat a lot of cheese, you always have that really sick, heavy feeling.
No, and it doesn't just knock you out. No, like, you know, in the old days you'd I'd eat like Christmas, and I get so full, and then my mother would say, "Okay, you can come to the dishes," and I'll be like, I'm tired.
Yeah,
I'm tired. I couldn't move. But now, with vegan, I don't know how much you've noticed this too. You can eat and eat to your heart's content and be super full, but you don't feel like you're just going to crash out for 5 hours. Your blood sugar levels don't go up and down the same. Hey?
No, you don't. It's more stable.
Yeah.
And when you go unstable, you've had like vegan junk.
Yeah.
But it doesn't last that long, though. It'll go away very quickly.
It's not the same. Yeah, your body digests it differently, I think.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
really...
But the cheese thing, that's an interesting one, because I also went through the cheese craving thing, and then I tried to make my own pizza like a couple of weeks ago using vegan cheese. But the brand, because I never bought vegan cheese before, and I don't know what brands to buy. And the one on the shelf that was in Woolies was this vegan cheese that had coconut stuff in it, and it tasted really gross. That I think it was the thing that ruined my pizza. That was how bad it is. So, like, what's your recommendation? Like, I don't mind sharing the brands. It's okay. You can talk to it. Yeah.
There's one that, there's a lot of people that say she's that really love that one. There's one that's got a jalapenos in them, and it's an orange one. That one I personally like, and I usually try that with newbies.
Wow.
Well, no, that is real cheese. And I'm like, no, it's not. And they're like, yes, it is. It's beautiful. And the other thing is Deo, I think they're called. They've got really nice cheeses. There's this lady over in America who makes kick butt cheeses. I can't remember her name. I'll have to give you her name. But she does everything herself. She smokes them and whatnot. So she has all these different styles. She's got real art. Like, I've seen a doco on her, and she does all this special work with them, and they stay there for a month or whatever. She's really a guru of it.
Wow. But I've also made posts on those plant-based groups or vegan groups to go, what cheeses should we have if we're having cheese cravings? And a lot of people just replied that it's junk, it's vegan junk, don't have it. What's your opinion on that?
They can. Look, everyone has an opinion, and it is processed, so it's not as healthy as having something that's like fresh fruit and vegetables. Okay, but there are other ways you can do it. You can make raw ones too. So if you can get onto a dehydrator, that's not a bad idea. And then just get your nuts, for example, get some cashews, put them in a cup of water, leave them there for 8 to 12 hours or something, rinse out the water, put them back in again, and then just get them to the point where they're almost about to split open, like you're activating them. And when you activate them, they become more digestible for you and I. So they don't, it's not so hard. Your body doesn't have to work so hard to break them down. So when you get it to that softer point where they're about to pop out, okay, then you just rinse it out again, put it in your dehydrator if you like, or put it in your blender, and then mix it up with, I use a bit of kelp. I do things a little bit unconventionally because everything I put in my body, it has to have a purpose. The kelp for my iodine. You can make, there's a myriad of recipes from there that you can go onto online. Or you could probably go up to Lucy's YouTube, and I'm sure she'd come up with some nice cheeses too.
I don't have any yet, but happy to explore. Yeah.
And you can make some cream cheeses, or you can make some solid cheeses. I've had a few hit and misses as well. And then you just use that for whatever, for pizzas, biscuits, dips, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, use it as a cauliflower sauce, instead of the cheese sauce, use that one. And occasionally you get, like, I made a vegan feta cheese, and it was better than anyone I'd ever had. And I was a feta cheese queen. I was like, gotta have that at least 2 or 3 times a week. I would have that.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's much easier ways to do it. That was just using tofu and like your brine.
Wow. Okay. Let's explore.
Okay. Yeah.
I think
so
that
way to try.
Yeah, that's really the key. Like, don't be fixated on the old things you're used to eating, because there's a whole bunch of replacements out there that's even better than what you currently know.
And even like, you're right. When you hear these people that say, I love my meat too much to give it up, right? Now, if you go and you see what they do with the animals once they're dead and they're sliced up and all that, and they're about to cook them, they usually marinate. Or when they put on the plate, they usually put peppercorns on, they put some seasoning on, they put salt on, they put a sauce on, a gravy or something. Now, if you're doing that, how can you say you really like the meat? Because would you eat it without that? No, don't be silly. Well, okay. So what is it about you like? Do you like the sauce? Then we make you something that is with mushrooms or jackfruit or something instead of that animal. And then we put the same sauce on, and chances are they don't even recognize it as not being meat. I was talking to somebody yesterday who does that regularly for her husband, and he's totally unaware that it's actually vegan. He's like, this is so good. Can I have some more? See, I could never give this up. And she's going, yeah, all right. It's vegan.
Wow. Yeah, I love what you just said, because it makes so much sense now, because I just finished my phase 2 of 100% plant-based diet challenge.
Okay.
And it was the second time I did it, and I did it for 30 days. And then the way I did it is, after I finished it, I think 2 days after it, I zagged on meat to see if my taste buds changed, because I'm using myself as an experiment.
Okay.
Not that I had any cravings. I didn't have any cravings, but I just wanted to test like how much my taste buds has changed, and use it also to share the journey. So I ordered the exact same Japanese dish I love from the same restaurant, which is grilled fish and these deep fried karaage chicken. And then this time round, when I ate it, I just thought the chicken tastes like poo.
Wow.
Like the taste was like poo. I almost puked when I ate it. The last time round I had it after I did my phase 1 is I thought it tasted like carcass, and this time it tasted like poo. And I was really shocked by how much more sensitive my taste buds has gone. And then I was struggling to finish it. And as I was biting it, I kept wondering, what was the taste that I was craving for, like before?
Yeah.
And then it's to your point. It's the seasoning and the flavorings they put to the chicken. So what I still enjoyed was the seasoning around the chicken.
Yeah.
I still like that, but the moment I bit into the actual chicken, I didn't like it.
So when we actually focus on that, and we notice, we observe what it is about that meal that we're actually missing. Sometimes a large portion of it is that our body might be craving something from that. So say, for example, if it's animal, it could be the protein that our body literally needs, particularly if we've got a pretty hardcore lifestyle in terms of movement. But the other thing that it could also need, I mean, it might be something like iron as well. It could be, very realistically. But there are other things that we can have that are kinder choices. So why would we pick something that is not as kind and that has been dealt with in industrial ways, where it's like they're animals full of hormones? Now, as a secondary effect, we also get those things. And even when they say they're free range, I mean, they're saying they're free range, they're living on grass. They're not living on grass. They're still living on something that has hormones in them. There's all these arguments that can come out of it. And even when they're not, it's still the fact that this animal has still been produced just for death. So all these reasons are not, when I have a talk to somebody else that's wanting to go vegan, I try and remind them of that the choice is based on kindness too. And so when you're doing something like that, I just realize how that might come across to you. So I want to pull back for a minute and apologize, because I'm not there to say anything negative to you. I think it's fantastic that you're on that journey. I really, really genuinely do. And the fact that you're making that connection means that you're getting to a path by the sounds that you're ready to let it go, because it's not working in your favor anymore.
Yeah. Like, I'm not trying to not let it go. It's just naturally my body has physically and emotionally progressed to a state that it just doesn't want it anymore. So I had that meal, and then I haven't been able to have any meat since then. Even though I'm not on any strict diet, it's been 1 week now since I finished the diet. I've naturally just want, vegetables and fruits. When I think about, do I want to have another meat? Because I'm not on any diet now.
Yeah.
My body has this gag reflex.
Yeah.
It tenses up. Like, even when I'm just going online to order on Ubers or whatever, I can feel my stomach tense up the moment I think about giving something a go.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome.
And it's just, all I crave is the variety, the different textures, the different seasonings. I don't crave the actual meat anymore.
Do you find you're your taste buds have now become far more sensitive to things that you do try.
Very. And the other craving I have is sweet tooth. And that's why I'm exploring whole food, plant-based sweet dish replacements to cater for that. Yeah.
So
but
a lot of the stuff that we
meat,
get from, like, I'm not sure exactly, I can't really compare it so much with pizzas because they are per se one of the healthiest choices in fast foods. But I know that for something like, sorry, McDonald's, but you're going to get the wrong plug again. But McDonald's is renowned for processed, like over-processed food, you know, in terms of the element of real food versus what they stick in there in the way of sugars and salts is way, way different. So when people are going in there, it's probably no surprise that their sugar levels will you know, spike quite considerably, and that in terms of cholesterol and all those things, everything is paramount, is magnified in places like that. Not just McDonald's, but, you know, KFC or whatever, they're all magnified because it's all about the taste. And it's all about the textures. Everything has to be extra crunchy and extra salty and extra sweet and extra this and extra that. And you hear it in their marketing tactics, you know, they'll talk about, do you want extra this or extra that? It's all about extra, right? But whereas we've lost that simplicity of just being able to enjoy something as it is in its fullness, in its original state, in its life state. So all of a sudden, when we're missing something, there's a whole habit that has to be changed. And that's where processed vegan food can come in handy. There are a lot of alternatives out there, like the animal meats that aren't meat animals, you know.
Yeah.
Beyond burgers and all that kind of stuff, or the sausages that aren't, you know, and they're actually really tasty, but you'll find that if you add the same sauces that you did in the previous one, you might surprise yourself and actually have the same taste going there too, you know. So if it's hard to do that transition, that's another way of doing it.
Yeah, you're right. It's all about, like, just if you want to go on this journey, there's so many replacements out there that you can explore, even though it may not be the healthiest of all, because we know going extreme is probably going the raw plant-based or the whole food plant-based being really extreme healthy. But when you're transitioning, it's about taking that one bite at a time that can help you be sustainable on this journey. And if that means you need to have a bit of the plant-based meat, or you need to have a bit of plant-based cheese, it's okay, because it'll help you along this journey.
Yeah, exactly.
Just don't have it every single day. Yeah.
Well, if you need to for a while, maybe just have it every day until you get to the next point, because you'll find that you will want to get to the next point.
Your body will start to work for you more. Yeah, I like that. Thank you. So time is running out. Do you want to share with us a bit about what's going on with your business as well coming up, because I feel like you have so much to share.
So in terms of the business coming up, there is certain branches that come out of it. One of them is Big Love Project 2020. So you'll find that on Instagram, just under my name is good enough too. But what it's about, there you go. Ta-da! So what it's about is reconnecting with ourselves and each other. So when I'm talking about with ourselves and each other, I'm not saying like reconnecting with ourselves as in sitting in front of a mirror and saying every morning 50 times and indoctrinating ourselves to just believe in that. It's about actually accepting, forgiving, and respecting ourselves. And then also doing the same for others, because when we're able to find that within ourselves, and we find it easier to be able to share that with others because we understand it on a more personal level. And then we can extend it out to others. So that was part of the journey for me because of many different things that happened in my life. And I found that I spent years and years and years studying all these different things to bring to the table, but I never knew how to, or I think I was just more in a self-learning thing. This is now something that I'm ready to share with other people and to collaborate with others. So if you feel like you want to collaborate with me and anybody else, then please feel free to contact me on Instagram. It's probably the best one. I also do have a Facebook one, Karlina Elskeling. And there's also a series of workshops that I work with. So whether you've come from a situation of pretty extreme examples, but say you've come from sexual abuse, say you've come from, you've got post-traumatic stress disorder, whether from domestic violence or whatever, whether you're on your journey to veganism, and whether you're also wanting to collaborate more with somebody who also wants to work with activism to do with animals, please contact me. So the Big Love Project 2020, we're rolling out some t-shirts and some long sleeve tops. Lucy's going to be the first one to wear it. And then everybody else, for the first 10 people that register with one of the workshops that we carry out on Instagram, then there will also be a free t-shirt in there for you. So this is the first one that's rolling out. I'm actually putting some of them to print today. Today is the actual day that it's happening. So I'm pretty excited. And out of that, I will explain more on Instagram on what's going to be done with the money. And so your money will also go to a good purpose. It's not going to just sit there in my bank account. It's not going to just, it's none of that. And all the workshops are something that I'm wanting to roll out together with you so that we can actually bring that out to other people from there, so that we can share, we can find some goodness within ourselves and also bring that out so we can feel stronger, more empowered, more connected with each other, and we can rise up and not feel like we're underneath the bottom of the pile anymore. We can rise up and be strong enough to face every single day together, knowing that you're not alone, you are supported. So it will include coaching as well, once, twice a week. Yeah, just go to Instagram and it'll explain it more.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So you just got to box there.
Only limited 10 people will get the free t-shirts, so hurry up. The link we'll share here below, and get in touch with Karlina.
Thank you.
Wow. I feel the love. I'm so excited for you to kick off this program, seriously.
Thank you, Lucy. You too. I'm very grateful for you being here.
I'm grateful for you to be here. And while we're all about love and connecting with people, so the goal of our podcast is to influence and impact as many people as we can to go on this healthy plant-based journey for whatever reason that resonates with them, whether it's for their health, for the animals, to save Earth, or to connect with the universe, all different reasons. Is there any heroes out there that you can help invite us to come onto this podcast?
Absolutely. I can think of quite a few different ones. So do I name them? Or?
Oh, it's up to you. You can, or you can just tell me later on. Yeah.
I might tell you later on, just because out of respect to them,
yeah,
you may not want to be, I don't know. But yeah, no, definitely. There's quite a few people I can think of.
Wow, thank you. I'll be in touch with you for that.
All right.
Yeah. And to you audiences, so if you enjoyed listening to today's podcast, remember, please share this podcast with your loved ones and leave a comment and let us know what you like about it. And we'll be coming back every Monday to see you again. Okay. And for you, Karlina, there's a sign-off slogan for you, and that is for you to say, live healthy, live happy, and ha, ha, ha. Ha, like laugh it in your own way.
Live healthy, live happy, and I'll be like a witch then, but
love it. Live healthy, live happy. Woohoo! Yeah. Thank you, Karlina.
See.
Thank you. Hello, let's do some testing. Let's test. All right. Welcome to HealthFormers, Age of the Plant podcast, encouraging more love and healing on the planet for animals, earth, and people, including no dairy, no eggs, no animal products, just love. Hello. Can I hear you? Can I hear you? Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
That was a big win. We made it.
We made it. Yay.
Does that make it any better?
Ooh, what's that noise?
That's because I live in the rainforest.
Really?
Yeah, so
I'm surrounded. Bird?
Yeah, we've got 2 parrots here.
Uh-huh.
And but many other animals. So there's 2 very beautiful parrots, and then there's chickens, and then there's cats and dogs, and everything gets along. All the animals all get along with each other.
Like they live inside?
They live everywhere.
Oh, wow. So you're like in an open environment?
Yeah, so the cats get along with the dogs, and the cats don't eat the chickens, and the dogs don't eat the chickens. No one, everybody just coexists.
How cool is that?
Danish.
Danish.
No, it starts with a D.
So sorry. I got Danish. So that's where you're from?
Yeah.
Oh, and how many years have you been here?
I've been in Australia for about 18 years, so I've been here quite long, and I got here quite young. So I was born up as a Viking, so you can imagine what that meant for my diet.
Karlina Elskeling. Wow. Cool is that? No, I was born in Taiwan.
Okay, so what's a Taiwanese accent?
Taiwanese English accent.
Yeah, no, it can't be Taiwanese.
That's so hard because like I grew up here, so my accent doesn't have that.
Surely like some family or friends.
Her name is Karlina Elskeling. She is just working to co-create a better space in which to live. She teaches.
That's almost, your accent then is almost like Danish. Like Danish sort of has that little song in it. Do you know what I mean? Like your Taiwanese obviously are very similar to Danish.
Yeah. Okay.
We have a little instrumental thing going. I love it.
No dairy, no eggs, no animal flesh, just love.
Yeah.
I love it how you're an love activist. That I was like, I have to add this in.
Very hippie.
This week for me, the theme has been about love. It's
really nice.
Yeah. Starting from my meditation yesterday, it was about love. And then this morning I just finished a call with my coach, and he was talking about being authentic. And what does authentic really mean? Is it deep down, it means true love, self-love, and selfless love.
Yeah.
Like that's the real deep down of authenticity.
Not self-love like narcissistic love.
No.
Not where the ego comes in.
Yeah.
Like I actually found myself getting caught up in that this morning because I put the makeup on and I was a little bit nervous and I was like, no, what are you doing? This isn't about you. Remember what this is about and be
no makeup.
Yeah.
Like lip balm is the only thing I put on.
Yeah, I put lip gloss on,
Yeah.
I feel even better that you and I are in aligned paths with this, that we actually want to extend that out, not just for ourselves in our little closed spaces, but we actually want to do something to incorporate that for animals and for other people in the organization too, because we can all learn of each other.
Oh yeah, of course. The way I think for it to work in the long term is you need this combination of both. You physically, your body needs to feel that it's working for you, that it doesn't like it physically. And then you also have the mental, emotional connection as well. So both your body, your emotions and your bodies are working together, not against each other. That's when it's sustainable in whatever lifestyle you choose to have.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I just want to share my journey and the tricks I've learned to help more people to get on this journey. Yeah.
That's really, really good though. I'm glad to hear it. There'll be a lot of animals that be grateful for it too.
But what exactly do you have planned in your love program thing?
Okay, so for the love program, there's several things that I'm doing like in other parts of my life. So one of them is that I started interviewing people for a book. Oh. Okay, and out of it was the things that they're leaving behind for others. And so some of them are environmentalists, some of them are from Sea Shepherds, some of them are, there's different things. But they've all gone through different experiences in their lives and they've changed from who they were before to now that they were. And it started making me think about different people's stories and what was a pivotal moment in their lives, pretty much what you asked before as well. What became a pivotal time where you actually turned from that life? I've heard you ask before in the interviews, what was the game changer for you? And so I started thinking about that and I thought, why is it that one person who comes through an experience doesn't feel like they can ever overcome it versus somebody else who does overcome it and come back twice as strong in an area in their life? Yeah. What is it that motivated that choice or that change? Because if we can work that out, then that's something that we can impart with each other worldwide. And there wouldn't be people so much who are struggling with addictions, who are struggling with being in domestic violence situations, who are struggling going the transition from animals to being vegan, and all these different things. So that has motivated this. So that one has several different branches, but the under theme of it has always been about the animals. It's a different way of reaching out to people, because I feel like, you know, you see somebody that is cruel to animals, for example, you generally make, a lot of us will make an assumption, perhaps wrongly in some cases, but there's a bit of an underlying thing there that the only one that goes out there and like kicks an animal, kicks a dog, for example, beats him up, is somebody who would probably do that to their partner or their child. I'm not saying that they always would. I'm just saying that there's a general assumption when you ask people that they probably can't be trusted around your animal. They're probably not the nicest people around a partner or something.
Yeah.
So when you start making those links, if you can break that mold somehow, if you can get to the core of that person and reconnect them with their soulful self, to bring them back to where they were when they were a little child, before all that learning, all that life's learning taught them to build a shell around them and to become this person who's so untouchable, then if you can find them and reconnect them with them to empower that beautiful self to come out, then there's a higher chance to break all those molds, all those addictions, whether it's meat or whether it's hurting others or whether it's being self-destructive. Right, so that started encouraging me to do a series of talks, and so that's what I'm doing now on Facebook and on Instagram, and I bring it back to the table and started making me think about meditations, to be able to just observe what is actually going on, what is a trigger for you, and how much it plays a part in your life, and then to start thinking about our conscious footprint on the earth and with each other, and that's where that greater love comes from. Is that it all comes from this part of you that a lot of us have forgotten about, that we've been told to build a bridge over and forget about and stop crying and stop being silly about it, just get on with life and man up and all these things. And us women too. I mean, I don't know what you were raised in, but I know for myself, at a young age, I was told not to cry. You know, don't be silly. So I didn't cry until I was like, not properly, until I was about 26.
We get laughed at and teased and don't cry and don't do this, don't do that, and
build a thicker skin. You know, all that kind of stuff. So that's where all this whole concept of Big Love Project 2020 came born from.
Wow, I love it. What I ultimately want to do is, what the food suppliers do is they get people addicted to junk food. Like once you start, you can't stop. Once you pop, you can't stop. Like
it's written all over it.
I want people to be addicted to health.
Yeah.
Once you start being healthy, you can't stop wanting to be healthy. But we're doing it for a good cause, right? We're not harming anyone along the way.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to teach. Like we've been programmed to use sugar, but you know the best replacement is majol dates. Like,
absolutely. Hands down. Yeah, that's yum.
And what I did is I turned that into facial sorbet. Like I just used that and mixed it with coconut water and turned it into sorbet. It was like, and put some mint leaves in it, mint leaves. Oh, yeah. Oh my God. So it's like vitamin C rich ice cream.
Woo! All right. I've got this delicious smoothie. Oh, it's not actually a smoothie. It's a citrus drink in front of me that I'm eyeing off.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Wow.
I don't know if it's appropriate for me to drink.
Of course it is. Anytime you need to. Like, I've been drinking water.
All right. Well, thank you very much for this.
Thank you so much, Karlina. I'm so grateful to have you on my podcast. It's been such an honor. Thank you.
You have a good day.
Have a great day and say hi to your animals for me.
I will definitely. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Bye.